Pizowell here, and today I want to talk to you about 1986's April Fool's Day. Now, this is partially going to be a review of the movie, as well as a review of this new Scream Factory Collector's Edition Blu-ray release. Now, I don't think a full-on plot synopsis for April Fool's Day is necessary. I'm going to assume that most of you out there have either already seen the film or you've heard about the movie and its controversial twist. But if not, spoilers ahead. I can vividly remember watching April Fool's Day for the very first time, and although I don't remember what my feelings were about the movie prior to the twist, I definitely remember how I felt afterwards, and that's pissed off. Now, I'm sure that my reaction was the same as most people's out there when it was revealed that, spoiler alert, it was all just an April Fool's prank. A very elaborate, expertly orchestrated April Fool's prank. But then again, what's the point of a good April Fool's prank unless the victim of said prank is a little salty afterwards? Now, after having revisited April Fool's Day many times over the years, I've grown quite fond of this movie. On one hand, April Fool's Day is a really well-done mystery thriller in the vein of 10 Little Indians. As a matter of fact, at one point in the movie, a character actually says, "It's just like in Agatha Christie." Director Fred Walton milks every suspenseful moment, and the score from Charles Bernstein is both mysterious and playful. The fact that we never actually see a character's demise only adds to the tension, and it's a reminder that even though a brutal, blood-caked murder from the likes of Tom Savini is never unwelcome, sometimes it's what we don't see that's all the more effective. And even though April Fool's Day lands in the horror genre, the film is full of colorful characters and funny moments. One thing I look for in all great slasher movies are well-defined and colorful characters, and April Fool's Day fits that bill to a T. The movie's sense of humor makes the characters relatable and likable, so when it comes their time to disappear from the story, you feel for them. The cast from top to bottom are absolutely fantastic. You've got Amy Steele, Deborah Foreman, Tom Wilson, Clayton Rohner, Deborah Goodrich, Griffin O'Neill, and Ken Olant, all of whom deliver excellent performances. From a technical point of view, April Fool's Day looks slick without being overly stylized. The locations are great. The score is awesome. The pacing is perfect, and there's plenty of both suspense and levity. This is definitely not your typical slasher or slasher-style murder mystery. There's a lot more going on in April Fool's Day than just a body count. And the movie eschews the typical slasher archetypes of the slutty girl, the virginal girl, the jock guy, the jokester for far more grounded and realistic characters. Oh, and there's an actual killer in April Fool's Day. There's actually an entire third act of the movie that was shot but subsequently cut. Now, from my understanding, this third act took place directly after the twist in the film. A few of the characters remained on Muffy's Island. Muffy's Island. That sounds weird. To pay her back with a prank of their own. Skip, played by Griffin O'Neill, flies into a jealous rage and either attempts to murder Muffy or actually murders Muffy. I've heard conflicting reports. But apparently Paramount wanted a more up ending, so they decided to excise that third act from the film. Now, I would love to see that footage, but I think Paramount made the right call in leaving that third act on the cutting room floor. Overall, I can't recommend April Fool's Day any higher. It's an expertly crafted murder mystery with a twist. The characters and performances are fantastic. The score is awesome. The location is just perfect. The pacing is on point. There's plenty of suspense and tension and a lot of levity. I love this movie. April Fool's Day definitely stands out amongst the onslaught of slasher movies that ruled the 1980s. If you've not seen April Fool's Day, go watch April Fool's Day. I was so overjoyed when I first heard that Scream Factory was releasing a collector's edition Blu-ray for April Fool's Day because this movie has deserved a Blu-ray release for so long. Up to this point, at least in the US, all we've had of April Fool's Day beyond VHS and maybe a Laserdisc was a bare bones DVD from Paramount, and April Fool's Day deserves far better than that. And even though this is a very nice release from Scream Factory, it will undoubtedly leave a lot of fans wanting. As far as presentation is concerned, this release comes with a slipcase which features some newly commissioned artwork. You can see the dolls that represent all the characters in the film. Very interesting artwork. I know a lot of people had some issues with this artwork. I actually think it's pretty cool. I don't have an issue with it at all. Yeah. There is the back of the release with the plot synopsis, the list of special features, the credits, etc. The slipcase is reversible. My disc is in my Blu-ray player, but on the reverse of the slipcase is the original poster art for April Fool's Day. And as I do with most of these Scream Factory Collector's Edition releases, I do reverse the sleeve so that I've got the original poster art on the Blu-ray, and then I can put that inside of the slipcase with the new artwork, and there you go. Pretty nice overall presentation for the Scream Factory Collector's Edition release of April Fool's Day. As far as picture quality and sound quality are concerned, this release doesn't note any kind of new transfer or elaborate restoration on the back of the release. However, the picture quality I thought was very good. It's certainly the best April Fool's Day has ever looked, in my opinion. I've seen it on VHS, I've seen it on DVD, haven't seen it on Laserdisc. If it got a Laserdisc release, if April Fool's Day did get a Laserdisc release, please let me know in the comments section. But this is the best April Fool's Day has ever looked, in my opinion. The image is crisp, the image is clean. However, it's not so cleaned up that you can't tell that this was a film actually shot on film. But as the picture quality goes, I would give it a solid 4 out of 5. As far as the sound quality, I would also give it a very solid 4 out of 5 as well. I thought the movie looked great and sounded great on this release. As far as extras are concerned, first up we have a 2-part interview with director Fred Walton entitled Horror with a Twist. It's 47 minutes in total. Mr. Walton discusses his love of movies going back to his childhood. He discusses getting serious about film and wanting to be a filmmaker in college. He discusses the genesis of what would eventually become When a Stranger Calls. He discusses meeting with Frank Mancuso Jr. to direct April Fool's Day. Mr. Walton discusses casting April Fool's Day, goes in depth on the casting of Deborah Foreman, in particular, the shooting locations and the snake scene. He discusses not wanting to make a slasher film with April Fool's Day, but Paramount marketed the film as a slasher movie, and how people expecting a slasher film were dissatisfied in the end. Mr. Walton also discusses the legacy of April Fool's Day and more. Very nice interview with Mr. Walton. Next up, we have Well of Lies, an interview with actress Deborah Goodrich Royce. It's 16 minutes and 32 seconds in length. Miss Goodrich Royce, discusses her upbringing as a dancer. She discusses getting cast as a dancer in commercials and eventually getting cast on All My Children. She discusses getting cast in April Fool's Day, being a fan of director Fred Walton from When a Stranger Calls, and how much she loved working with him. She discusses shooting the well scene and a sequence she shot for the original ending that was cut out of the film. Ms. Goodrich Royce discusses the cult status of April Fool's Day, being approached in the 90s to do a sequel that never materialized, the anniversary screenings, and much more. Very nice interview with Ms. Goodrich Royce. Next up, we have Looking Forward to Dessert with actor Clayton Rohner. It's 17 minutes and 15 seconds in length. Mr. Rohner discusses working with Fred Walton and what a joy he was to work with. He discusses improvising a lot on April Fool's Day. He discusses his character Chaz and shooting on location in British Columbia. He discusses working with Frank Mancuso Jr. and his aviator sunglasses. Mr. Rohner talks bedroom yoga and more. Very nice interview with Mr. Rohner. Next up, we have Bloody Unforgettable, an interview with composer Charles Bernstein. It's 26 minutes in length. Mr. Bernstein discusses his beginnings as a film composer. He discusses working with Wes Craven and how great Mr. Craven was to work with on films such as Deadly Friend and A Nightmare on Elm Street. Mr. Bernstein discusses his approach to scoring April Fool's Day and the challenges that scoring that film presented. He discusses writing and composing the closing credit song for April Fool's Day. You know the one. Too bad you're crazy. Too bad you're loony as hell. Next up, we have The Eye of Deception, an interview with cinematographer Charles Minsky at 17 minutes and 23 seconds in length. Mr. Minsky discusses falling into cinematography. He discusses his love for the physical challenges of cinematography, his early career as a cinematographer, joining the union, and eventually getting hired to shoot April Fool's Day. Mr. Minsky discusses working with Fred Walton and how prepared he was, the shooting locations, and more. We get a theatrical trailer and TV spots for April Fool's Day also. This is a very nice Blu-ray release for April Fool's Day from the folks over at Scream Factory. Yes, I would have loved to have had a Fred Walton audio commentary. Yes, I would have loved to have had an Amy Steele interview. Yes, I would have absolutely loved to have seen that third act footage that was cut from the film included on here. However, it is not. Still, we have a very strong release for April Fool's Day from Scream Factory. Both the picture quality and the sound quality are both very good, and what extras we do have on here are also very good. This is still a good release for April Fool's Day. This is the best April Fool's Day has ever looked. This may not be the exact release that all of us April Fool's Day fans wanted, but it is still a very good release for this film nevertheless. If you picked up the collector's edition Blu-ray of April Fool's Day from Scream Factory, please let me know your thoughts on it down in the comments section below. Let me know your thoughts on April Fool's Day overall down in the comments section below. If you like this video, please leave it a thumbs up and share it on social media. If you're not following me on social media, those links are in the description. They're also right around here. As always, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care, and until next time, peace.
Too bad you're crazy. Too bad you're loony as hell.
A big thank you to all my awesome Patreon supporters. I appreciate your generosity and support of my channel. Become a patron today and join me for monthly live streams and have a say in what movies I review on my channel. Patreon.com/pizowell or follow the link in the description. Say hello to the internet, Jeremy.
Hello to the internet.